Well, hello and welcome into OnIowa Live here at the Pickle Palace. We're excited because it is no longer a bye week. Football is back this week, and Iowa sure has a tough one on their schedule. Joining me this week, we have former Hawkeye as well as Iowa football analyst Pat Angerer, and then always Scott Dochterman from The Athletic. Thanks for both being here. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, there we go. There's some liveliness. Well, we like to start the show with, kind of a what happened this weekend, and Scott Dochterman's making me talk about it because he knows my disdain for Nebraska. Scott, you take it away, though. What happened? What did the Cornhuskers do this weekend?
Everybody wears like a black jersey, an alternate jersey, and that's part of the game these days. Ames and Iowa State does it. Everybody does it. But to come out to back in black, I thought was a little strange, and it shows a lack of self-awareness, if you were to ask me. I mean, would Iowa come out to jump around?
No, never.
Or serious, the Chicago Bulls theme song that Nebraska plays? No. And then for some of their fans to say, oh, well, that's our song because we have the black shirts. Go back to the Big 12. You're not going to notice this stuff. It's just kind of laughable to me.
Yes. And also to add to that, too, just like Dylan Raiola and his whole personality being so, Patrick Mahomes-esque, the way that he does his pregame routine and everything. Yeah. I'm over it, number one. I just be yourself sort of deal. So when they did that, I was like, no, they didn't. Yeah. Unfortunately, they did. What were your thoughts? Did you see it?
Yeah, whatever.
It's a compliment,
but
right?
Imitation's the greatest form of flattery.
Absolutely. Right? It is a compliment. Well, we'll take that. Well, it's no mystery who Iowa is facing this weekend. Number 6, Oregon. Hawkeyes sit 6-2 overall, 7-1 for the Ducks. Both teams, though, coming off a bye. Iowa beat Minnesota 41-3. That one was kind of over in the first 20 minutes of the game. And then Oregon beat Wisconsin 21-7. That was their last game. Looking at those last games, though, I'll ask the two of you, who kind of stands in a better situation right now heading into this one?
I'll let the All-American handle this one.
Oh, jeez. The Wisconsin-Oregon game, it was a downpour. Mm-hmm. You can't really judge too much. They probably would have blown them out. They ran for like 300 some yards or 200 yards or something. Scott has the stats. Iowa did great. They're playing really well. They're playing as good as they can. They did exactly what they needed to do. They handled the last bye week really well, and I think they're going to handle this one really well. So I don't know. You can't really judge Oregon on that last game. And to be fair, you can't judge Iowa in that last game. It's two different opponents between Minnesota and Oregon. Very different teams, surprisingly. The Minnesota coach dresses up a lot better than the Oregon coach, but other than that, two different teams, and we'll have a tough challenge. And I think Iowa's doing exactly what they need to do. They're playing their best football right now. Mm-hmm.
I'm in agreement because I think you look at Oregon, again, downpour. Sometimes you don't necessarily mean to play to the level of your competition, but it just kind of happens that way. It's a dreary day. You're not playing very well. They're not very good. And you just kind of go out there and you're like, like your last game, 12-0 against Minnesota that one time. It's like
17-0.
Okay. Well, and I think in Iowa's case, though, they are ascending. They are playing better. They've gotten to get better every week, and you can see it. And that's a hallmark of Kirk Ferentz throughout his whole entire tenure, that I've always said that he does a lot of things well, but the best thing he does is respond to adversity and to respond and keep the blinders on and move forward. And this team progressively has gotten better to the point where it's going to play one of the most meaningful games in Kinnick in November, maybe in 20-plus years. So I love the way that they're approaching this. They're really strong up front. They can compete with Oregon in most of the areas. And then you've got the home crowd, which I think really evens it out.
You bet. This will only mark the 4th meeting between the two bird schools, we'll call them. First home contest, though, against the top 10 ranked opponent since 2022. Now, looking at this series, Iowa won the first one. 1949 was the first one. The second one, 1989. That's when Hayden Fry was the head coach. Kirk Ferentz was the offensive line coach. Oregon won that meeting handily. 44-6 was the final. The third meeting, again, Oregon won 40-18. That one was in 1994. So it has been a minute since these two teams have played one another, but I'm very interested to see what Coach Ferentz potentially remembers about, that 89 game, just what his thoughts and opinions are. But this hasn't been close at all in the last two meetings. Do we think that's happening this weekend?
Oh, I think if Iowa plays poorly, yes, but I don't expect them to play poorly. And it was such a different era. It's funny, you'll ask Kirk, do you remember anything about it? He goes, no, it's a long time ago. And then he'll tell you about on this 3rd and 6, there was this play where the guy ran off tackle and we weren't there ready for it or something. I mean, Oregon is a fantastic team, and they're good at every single area. So Iowa's going to have to be sharp, no question about it. But I also think that Iowa has a lot of opportunity, and I would not predict a blowout in this game either way.
Yeah. Shout out to John Campbell, too, for looking that up. He'll have a story later this week. But you mentioned, Scott, playing in November, and that Iowa's pretty good at it, 21-2 in the last 23 games in November. You want to be playing your best football in November. Do you think we got maybe a taste of it from that Minnesota game moving into this week?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you saw the first drive. I mean, that was as good of a first drive as Iowa's had in a long time, right? And they're learning more and more about Gronowski weekly, and you can tell they're getting Caden Weegan in the pass. And our defense, they're coming together. Our secondary is playing phenomenal. Our linebackers are growing. I mean, they're definitely playing their best football right now. I'm excited to see what they add in. There's going to be some interesting stuff. Oregon does a lot of shifts and a lot of motions, and what it does is they're doing all these shifts and motions because they're trying to get the edge on you. And we'll see. The good thing is we've got 2 weeks for our guys to prepare for it, to adjust. But it's a big challenge. But the good thing is, like Scott had mentioned, they're playing in Kinnick. It's going to be hard to talk and do all these shifts and stuff, in Kinnick Stadium with those Iowa fans screaming. However, on defense side, we're not going to be able to talk to each other either because it's going to be so loud. We won't know what the hell's going on either. So hopefully we're both, But no, I'm excited about it. I like this group a lot. I've said it from the beginning. They're together. They're hungry. They're tough. They believe in each other. And I when you have the belief in the quarterback and the whole team does that, especially as the coaches, it's unstoppable. And I'd mentioned earlier, it's kind of like how we felt about Rick Stanzies. We were always in a fight. Rick would throw, a couple picks, and we'd be like, all right, hey, we're going to win now. That was great.
For sure.
Anything you want to add, Scott?
Well, a couple of things that pop into my mind, and history is just kind of fun for people like me and the fans, I'm sure. But they've beaten their last 5 opponents that were ranked in November games, and that includes everything from Wisconsin in 20, Minnesota in 19, goes all the way back to Terrell Pryor, his run in 2010. And in fact, the last they've played 6 top 10 opponents in November at Kinnick Stadium under Kirk Ferentz, and they're 5-1. So this is Iowa has a really good track record playing good teams in the month of November at home, and I think Autzen Stadium has a great reputation of being a really loud environment that Oregon's been able to use, but Kinnick is very underrated in its own right, and plus having those sidelines so close to the field, I know you have, had countless opposing players just tell me how it affects them, how it gets in their head. They can't get it out of their head because, like Melvin Gordon from Wisconsin all those years, he was supposed to come to Iowa and then chose Wisconsin, and a guy screamed at him the entire game, 100% committed, because that's what he told a reporter, and he said, I couldn't get it out of my head, and I played my worst game. So Dante
Soft.
Moore,
he wouldn't have made it at Iowa then.
Why does Coach Ferentz have teams playing their best in November?
Well, it's a constant improvement. It's the constant, nothing's ever good enough. Good enough never is, and that's kind of what we kind of live by. And you're constantly getting better. You're getting stronger. You're getting faster throughout the year. A lot of programs aren't. Our strength and conditioning is amazing. Ray does a really good job. And it's attention to detail. It's holding people accountable. It's not easy being a Hawkeye, but literally, if you do what they say, you're gonna get better. I mean, guys, look at me. I'm 5'10" and fat, and I was able to be an All-American. It's not that freaking hard. But great coach, always on you, and you need that. I needed that, and that's how you get better. It's not easy, but if you do what they say, you'll do all right.
You know, the discipline starts so early and Pat, you obviously could speak to this, but like, you know, in the summer, it's like, make sure your foot's on the line exactly when I tell you to put your foot on the line. And part of that spills all the way over into November when it's 3rd and 4 to make sure your feet are exactly where you need to be and you're not 2 steps back. So then all of a sudden you get an illegal procedure penalty. And it's that attention to detail with Ray, with the conditioning, with spring football that pays off to why they're the lowest penalized team in the country and why the other team's the one that's offsides or it's getting called off. And those are the little things, those are the areas Iowa always has to win at, and Iowa has won at. And that's the difference in a lot of these games that are one-possession games coming down to the last 3 to 4 minutes.
I did that foot on the line thing with my 8th grade team I was coaching. We were the most penalized team, I think. A lot of cheap shots by our guys. I don't know what this is.
Next year, right?
Yeah,
next
next
year.
yeah. When they have another coach, they'll do a lot better.
We'll be right back. Music. All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. We are going to start with an audience question. This one's from Eugene. Pat, do you have any Norm stories you can share on TV?
All the good ones, I'll tell you guys later. But yeah, I think it should just right away. He was a genius. There was a time where I struggled in my career, and a lot of the stuff was shoulders above and making a lot of mistakes and doing a lot of things I shouldn't do. I tried hard on the field, but I also tried hard off the field, and not in a good way. And kind of having a conversation with him and him telling me like, hey, I believe in you. And like, that was huge. And then kind of turned my career around, and him coming to me before my junior year and just saying, hey, you're going to play a lot this year. I'm proud of you. Like, that was huge. Like, that was huge for me. Didn't start the first game, didn't start the second game, but started the third game, was able to, have an all Big Ten season, and it was due to him and his belief in me.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that was TV. That was for TV.
Yeah, that's for TV.
The good stuff you can tell us later. The last ranked game at Kinnick in November 2020 against Wisconsin. There were no fans for that one. But then before that, 2019 against Minnesota. Scott, what do you remember about these ones?
I think when you start, you think of the Minnesota game really has started this run in 2019 that Iowa's 21-2 in this month since then. And if we remember the context, it came after a 2-point loss at Wisconsin where Nate Stanley, they had a car crash at the half-yard line. He couldn't quite get in, and they lose by 2. They come back against Minnesota, who's ranked 7th, and really put up a huge spot right early. I think they scored 20 points right away and ended up winning. And then the Wisconsin game, I felt bad for the fans because that was during COVID. Nobody could be there. And Wisconsin, for about a decade, had really kind of owned that rivalry.
Yeah.
And for Iowa to blow out Wisconsin that day, 28-7, really, it was like, it's too bad the fans aren't here to enjoy this. That was that one, and then Luka Garza's retirement jersey that year would just stand out to me as, man, I really wish the fans could have been here for this.
Oh, that makes sense. When you also, I should say, actually, they're going to be honoring the 2015 team ahead of this game. Great year, right? 2015, they went perfect. 12-0, 8-0 record in the Big Ten. They win the Big Ten West Division before falling in the Big Ten championship game and then the Rose Bowl. These are the guys I went to school with. Not to, put that out there, but it is. But it was a good group. It was a fun team, and maybe they'll bring some of that mojo, to Kinnick Stadium in regards to just kind of what Iowa needs heading into this game. Do you guys remember this team?
Yeah, it was a fun season, super fun. I remember going to Indianapolis and for the Big Ten championship. That was great. But you think about that team. It's tough to give them credit because their most popular guy is their long snapper right now. So it's that's kind of, it says a lot about them. But no, a great group of guys. Was able to be with them that winter in the strength. Working out with Coach Doyle on the strength and conditioning helped out, and just kids worked really hard. He knew they were going to do tremendous. They came off of. It was a tough year until 2014, and they worked really hard, proved a lot of people wrong. Super proud of them. Really great group of guys.
I think it shows if there's one season that shows the heart and determination and humility of this program, it's 2015. Because as Pat said, they lost all 4 trophy games the year before. They were 7-6. Things had really kind of reached kind of a stale moment in Iowa, and it really reached a crossroads. And for somebody like Kirk Ferentz to decide, all right, I'm going to have to change the way I do things. So they moved practice to the morning. He became a little more open about himself. The team fed off of that, really went forward. And I think you look at the wins. They won all 4 trophy games. They weren't the most talented team. Certainly Pat's group was among the very best at that.
We were the best.
Yeah. You were 0-2, one of the two. But I tell you, they fought with as much guts and determination. And I think the greatest slugfest in Big Ten history was that championship game they lost against Michigan State. 22-play drive, and even that last play was just, I could write a novel on it. And then Josie Jewell got tackled from behind when he was getting ready to make the tackle, but that didn't get called. But I think what a tremendous season and testament to the players and coaches.
So how big is this game? When you look at it, we were talking too earlier in the season, I always thought Iowa would get one of their big home games, potentially against those 3 ranked teams when, Indiana came to town, Penn State, that, their trajectory was a little bit different after some injuries and coach being fired, and then Oregon. So it's got to be Oregon, right?
Well, yeah. I would think that Oregon fits that description. Iowa's had some huge November upsets. Pat was part of one in 08 against Penn State. You've got Michigan in 16. You got Ohio State, in 17. But I'm going to go back to, I think this is the biggest game at Kinnick since 2004 against Wisconsin, which was winner take all for a share of the Big Ten title. And the reason is, a couple years ago they beat Illinois to secure the West Division title. They did that, in 15 as well. But I think in this case, the stakes are really high. And they're playing a top 10 team. They're ranked in the coaches poll. And a win could propel them to the college football playoff. And I think that's why it's in that category for me. Because even when they won the last couple of Big Ten West titles, a bowl game was at stake, not the playoff.
Right.
Now you're talking about playoff.
Yeah. Do you remember that 08 Penn State?
Yeah, I got my butt kicked the whole game. A.Q. Shipley was the center for Penn State. He was a beast. He was a stud, and luckily we had Sean Green that helped. But yeah, it's a huge game. Every game that we play that's coming up, every opponent's the biggest game. I know Coach Ferentz will say that, and everybody says it's cliche, but it's the truth. We take every game as the most serious game, and I hope that this team and this staff gets to experience what we experienced in '08, because like that was awesome, and these guys deserve that. And I know that they're going to go out there and fight. What I love about this team is they're consistent. You know what they're going to get. I think last year there were some games I was like, well, what is this team that just showed up? But this year they're hungry, they're consistent, and I think they deserve a big one. And I know they're going to go out there and they're going to go out on their shield, and I'm looking forward to it.
And we've kind of looked back to the Indiana game and said, what if? What if Gronowski was still there? Could that have changed the outcome of that game? Maybe. We don't know. But as far as looking at maybe just Oregon and what they do so well, maybe what is the biggest area on the field that the Hawkeyes are going to have their hands full when it comes to facing this Oregon team?
Everything?
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Way to narrow it down.
They're good everywhere. They're good everywhere.
Yeah.
They're good at quarterback. They're good at receiver. They run the ball better than anybody in the Big Ten. They got the best run offense. Defensively, they're set at every single position. This is going to be a very difficult opponent. I mean, I don't know that they're better than Indiana, but they got some more explosion, I think, in their offense.
Okay.
And Jacorian Moore, a freshman wide receiver, is a handful. And so I think this is one of those games where I understand just how challenging this is going to be. And I know the players will. They're smart, and they've got great leadership this year. But they're going to have to pay it to every down matters, and it's every play matters. It's like, hey, punt, but make sure that the ball, is angled, so then there's no return. It's get your extra yards. It's no send to punt, but, make sure you fill that possession up to its fullest. So I don't expect this to be a blowout for Iowa, and I don't expect it for Oregon either. So it's about possession by possession football.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember like the first UFCs when it was like kickboxer versus wrestler, like Muay Thai. I feel like they're like this fancy stand-up, stand-up fighter, and we're a wrestler. Mm-hmm. And I just. And styles collide, right? Yeah. Which martial art's the best? And I think we'll know early. We'll know early which way this game's going to go and how we're going to keep it. They're extremely talented. Their concepts are very basic, but how they get to them is very tough, and it's going to be hard. It's going to need a lot of communication. It's going to need a lot of practice defensively. Indiana, they were on extremely basic concepts for everything that they did. They're just really good. They ran everything really well. It was really simple, but they ran everything really well. This is. They get to you. They try to get the edge. They try to get you confused, and we'll have to be ready to go. And I know the coaches will have them ready to go. I just, like I said earlier, I hope that these kids get to experience what I experienced in '08 and '09 when we beat Penn State again.
Felt good, right?
Yeah, it did.
Exactly.
We'll be right back. All right, welcome back into On Iowa Live. We're going to start with an audience question. This one is Oregon and Iowa both had a bye last week. Whose advantage is that? I can start, or you guys?
I don't know. Who knows? We'll see on Saturday. I don't. Iowa's playing really well. They handled the last bye week extremely well. It's interesting. Bye weeks. A lot of people assume that you're spending a lot of time preparing for that next opponent, and you are a little bit. Really, what you're doing is you're giving the guys that are playing a rest, and you're developing the young guys that aren't. So it's not like you have really 2 weeks to prepare. The coaches have everything prepared, but as far as a player standpoint. If you're playing, you're just trying to get healthy so you can start that game week ready to go. I do think, with the staff that we have, as intelligent as they are, and just the maturity of this team, obviously, I like our guys, and I think they have the advantage.
I like Iowa in this one, and it's not just because of the getting healthy part of it, but it's, as you said, they flash a lot on offense, and if you're not able to lock in on it, then it can fool you, and they got the athletes, they could take advantage of it. So I think giving the eyes a couple extra days, some of the analysts, and then of course Phil Parker and everything, they can kind of zero in on some of this and relay it to the players. But this team has great leadership. It's so much stronger leadership-wise than it was a year ago at this time, where there are times you were kind of wondering, are they an aimless ship, especially at quarterback? And I think the quarterback is off the charts now when it comes to that category. So I think they use their time well, and I think if his knee is a little bit better, then that's helpful at this time.
Yeah, absolutely. I also agree. Iowa. Saw some of the guys, too, at some prep football games last Friday. They're around the game, but they're not playing. It's still nice to be kind of in that. But at the same time, I do think that 2:30 kick for Oregon is a little bit beneficial to them. They have a little bit more rest time. You get them off the at 11 a.m. kick, that time change, that could have been a little bit different. But I do think Iowa being home in their own beds, obviously, will be a little nicer for them. Just moving into Oregon. We've talked about they do everything well. How does Iowa beat Oregon? Why don't you take the defensive side?
We play Iowa football. We control the line of scrimmage. We communicate. We make sure we're lined up properly. They're going to do a lot of tricky things. We got to make sure, we're right there. They're going to take shots too. We've got to limit the big plays. Just watching film, we have different cut-ups on, big plays, and usually you're going to see 15 or so. It seemed like there was like 50 big plays. Like they were just, runs, passes, very explosive. So obviously got to limit those. They're probably going to get some, right? They got guys on scholarship too that make a lot of money. So we're going to have to, deal with that. But, keep fighting, keep swinging. Win on first and second down. Let's let our guys rush on third down. I mean, it's play Iowa football.
Yeah. Offensively, do you want to take that?
Offensively, it's going to be about establishing the line of scrimmage. I mean, Iowa is as physical as any offensive line in the country. Mm-hmm. It's as good as any offensive line in the country. And I'm an All-American voter, and I've been going through the Big Ten because I present the Big Ten cases. Iowa has 3 of the top 6 or 7 offensive linemen in the Big Ten. And it doesn't matter who the team is. They can blow them off the ball. Now, and I think Kamari Moulton is coming along as one of the top, handful of running backs in the Big Ten. And you've got, a running back or at quarterback he brings such an added dimension that it's 3rd and 5. You don't have to force the ball. He can take off and run and pick up your first down and move on. And so to me, it's about ball control. It's about making sure you hit your blocks. I mean, all the little cliches are perfect here, but Iowa is the most physical team in the Big Ten. And if Iowa plays Iowa football, Iowa has a really good chance of winning this game.
You guys mentioned playing Iowa football, and I even look back to some of their loss and a win. When you go back to Penn State, they gave up, the first points of the game against both of those teams and were able to respond. I do think they have a good response, but that can't happen probably against this Oregon team. Yeah. Why?
Why can't it happen?
Yeah.
Well, really in both games, they spotted Penn State 14 points and they spotted Indiana 10. And they were able to overcome Penn State, but they weren't against Indiana. I mean, you think about early interception, turned into points, end of first half situations where you had the blocked field goal against Penn State, and then you had, I don't know what the defense was doing against Indiana with 30 seconds left or whatever, but
Yeah.
allowed a field goal. And I think those are the things that you have to be tighter on, because this team can take advantage of it of you, and they are a little more explosive in some areas. So they're going to give up plays because Oregon's a good team. And you're going to have to respond. And they're going to give up points. I don't think this is going to be a shutout. You just have to just keep swinging and get it to the fourth quarter where Iowa is comfortable in those situations. You want to play low-scoring football and physical football, Iowa's there all day and night. And then Oregon's got to say, if we don't win this game, we're not going to the playoff, And then that's when the pressure comes in, and that's when your crowd helps you win.
You mentioned to Gronowski's health and just giving that extra week and everything. We saw what he could do, specifically probably against Penn State. He didn't have to do too much against Minnesota. Everyone in all three phases kind of did what they needed to do. What does Gronowski have to make sure he does against this Oregon team?
Be a winner. The guy's a winner. He's the winningest football player of all time, right? Do his job, be a winner, be a leader. Obviously be smart with the throws. We can't afford turnovers or anything like that, but make plays when they're there. He's a guy that when we need a big play, we put the ball in his hands, and he's been really, really good for us all year.
It's engineering victory. Whatever it takes to win, he'll do it. And he's, it's somewhat selfless. He came to Iowa to be a better passer so he could be in the NFL, and it just hasn't worked out that way for him. That's okay. Right now it's about winning games, and he knows how to do that better than anybody. He's a tough kid. He's had an ACL, and he has this knee sprain that he's played through, and yet he's out there gutting it out, doing whatever it takes to win. And I think when you have somebody like that who's won national titles and been in big moments, this is what you got him for. This is these moments. And I can't speak high enough about his character versus last year and what he brings this team. And I think that's something that in these dire moments, if they all need to lean on him, they're fine doing it. We'll ride you, and he's the type of guy that can do it.
I think you can feel kind of just how big of a week it is. But I wanted to ask you, in both your roles now, do you guys also get just like these jitters, but also the excitement leading into this, or is there other games too that you kind of felt like this so far in your career?
I'm scared every time I have a live microphone. I'm terrified, absolutely terrified. I do get excited. Honestly, I'm excited for every game. I'm so new to this radio stuff. I've been so far removed from the game and from Iowa football. Now that I'm back in it, I'm fired up all the time. Yeah, I'm fired up all the time.
Yeah.
I hate to admit it. I mean, I played 1,000,000 years ago, and I wasn't very good when I did play.
Yeah, Burlington, you guys beat Bettendorf.
We did.
Yeah.
Hey, you remembered. We lost to them in the playoffs, too, my final game. But,
who's counting?
But I will say this, that, yes, I still get excited. I'll have mandatory Metallica in the car, and I go in. I mean, sometimes I get juiced for it, and it's something that you just have to, because if you cover football like it's city council, you probably should go cover city council. You live for this moment.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, we'll have some more audience questions when we come back.
Welcome back. We're joined by Kira from Elite Fitness. Kira, besides memberships, what are some additional services that are provided at your facilities?
Right, so we offer nutrition services, resting metabolic rate testing, in-body body fat percentage testing,
Welcome back. We're joined by Kira from Elite Fitness. Kira, besides memberships, what are some additional services that are provided at your facilities?
Right, so we offer nutrition services, resting metabolic rate testing, in-body body fat percentage testing, and classes, which include senior classes.
Can you give me a few more details on what those might include?
Sure, so nutrition coaching, you'll meet with a certified nutrition coach to kind of go over your goals. You'll then work together to create a plan to work towards those. The resting metabolic rate testing measures your basic metabolism, which again is good information to have. Tells you how many calories you might need as you work towards your goals. The in-body body fat percentage test is a non-invasive way to figure out what your body fat percentage is, your muscle mass, and your total body water content. And then the senior classes are offered at all locations, and the best part is a lot of them are covered under insurance, like Silver Sneakers.
That is great. And how can someone schedule these training options?
So they can go to our website at elitefitnessiowa.com.
Thank you.
All right, let's go ahead and answer some audience questions. This first one, Pat, how do you feel about the development of the linebacker room at Iowa?
They're fun to watch. They are so much more athletic, and they're all not 5'8" like I'm used to. I really enjoyed them. I was able to spend more time with the team this offseason. Really, I wasn't there a lot, but was really to spend more time, and I just fell in love with them right away. They play so hard. They play it the right way. And you could watch them every single game. They get better at something. I'm excited. I'm excited to see their final product because this is a lot. This is all their first years playing, right? They've been behind some really good linebackers, and they're improving every single game. And they are way more talented than me and Eads and Jeremiah Hunter were when we were playing. I'll tell you that much. They're studs. They're all studs. All good-looking dudes too. And you look at them; they're all like on the dean's list or academic All Big Ten. We didn't have any of that on our team. I don't think.
Come on, Eads.
Well, he doesn't count. No way was he. He's a politician right now.
Ex-commissioner.
Yeah.
Scott, we'll have you take this one. Mark Gronowski's tied for rushing touchdowns by a quarterback. Where do you think that number will end up?
Well, I think he'll have 5 or 6 more.
Yeah,
I do. He's
on Saturday.
On Saturday against Oregon. He's at 11, which is tied there with Wilburn Hollis, and that's he was tremendous. 1960 team that was probably the best team in Iowa history, and should have been in a bowl game and won.
2009.
Okay, after 2009 and part of 2008, the second half of 2008. Yeah.
All right. Will the outcome of this game with the Ducks rely heavily on the pressure that is put on the QB?
I don't know. I think we need to run the ball. We're gonna run the ball, and if we establish that, we'll be just fine. I love our O-line. He talked about how great they are. They are a mean, stubborn group. I think it's going to rely on the line of scrimmage, to control the line of scrimmage. I think that Mark's going to. I think if we can put him in good positions, to use his legs to win on first and second down, to not put him in tough positions, I think we'll be great. And that's really, I think, up front, that's what really, this game will come down to.
Yeah. Scott?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, this is Oregon has so many different levels of play, and you want to pressure, you want to disrupt. Your sacks are great, of course, but it's more or less just get them off their game. I mean, Dante Moore is freakishly talented at quarterback, and he was hurt. He was knocked out against Wisconsin with a broken nose, and sat out the second half of that game. They didn't really need him. I think if you can disrupt him, force him to move, but not necessarily allow him to run, I think he's going to make some plays, but you just got to make sure you disrupt the passing game, I would say.
How do you break your nose with a
He got smoked.
helmet on?
Yeah, it was bad. It was like crushed at the end.
Yeah.
I didn't see it. We're not going to make Pat do our pick'ems, but we are going to do our pick'ems, starting with the game of the week, obviously. Oregon, Iowa. Scott, you picked the visitors.
You're going to make me the bad guy here. I did it just so that way everybody can blame me if it doesn't happen. I think this is a field goal game either way. And, I picked Oregon, but we'll see.
Scotty, come on, man.
I'll be happy to be wrong.
Jack's on your side. Colin is on my side. I picked Iowa just because it's got to happen. They got to get one of these games. It could be this one. I hope it's this one, so we'll see. Next one, Iowa State, TCU. We all went TCU.
Well, after they lose 4 straight, what are you
I
going to do? I mean,
know.
you
What
know,
is going
It's like
on?
I keep losing at blackjack. It's like, well, I just keep throwing my money in here, and after a while, you got to say, I got to walk away. And
It's hard
and
walking away, isn't it?
It is. Oh yeah, we lived on the river, so you know
Yes.
it's hard to do that. You know, Mississippi, but no, I think Iowa State still has the guts of a good team, but they're just not playing well enough in a couple of areas. And until they win, I'm going to pick against them.
Yeah, unfortunately, things are not going so well in Ames. Then we have Murray State and UNI. I believe Colin is the only one who picked Murray State. Everyone else went with UNI. Murray State is winless.
Yes.
That is why.
They lost 18 straight games. So I think this is the first Valley win for UNI under new coach.
I think so too. We'll see. And then our last one that we have to do, BYU, Texas Tech. We are Tech across the board. Why are you picking Tech?
Tech's one of the most talented teams in the country, the most talented team paid for in the country. And I think this is, and BYU is undefeated.
Yeah.
Things like this happen. And I was surprised when they lost Arizona State, and I don't think they lose to BYU.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you that. Nothing else to add to that. Before we let you go, Pat, any memories so far on the mic that you would like to share? That you, some appropriate ones?
Well, I think our guy Joe Glazer last year getting smoked with the kickoff, that was a good one. That was a lot of fun. And then he just
I do remember
he
that.
cut the best promo of all time, and it was all Gary was like, we got to interview that guy. I'm like, we can do
Yeah.
that. And then interviewed him, and I'm laughing all the time. I'm so new. I don't even know they can hear me talk down there. I didn't even know I was live, but no, that was great. It just honestly being around it, like listen to Gary talk, like that beautiful, legendary voice, and just hanging out with him, being around the program again. It's I'm old now, and I love so much being around the coaches. Same coaches when I was here, same culture. They're teaching these kids the same things. These kids are really solid. Just getting the opportunity to talk to them after games and just giggling about stupid stuff that happens. That a lot of inside jokes a lot of people don't know about. It's great. It's something that I never thought would be a huge dream of mine, and it's a dream come true.
What's it like now? What's the most challenging part about being on this side?
Oh man, not letting the emotions take over, not
yeah?
yelling and screaming. I did a lot of yelling and screaming last year, just randomly. Letting Gary talk, that's like it's his show. Like he's leading the dance. I'm just the two right-footed guy trying to figure it out. Honestly, what's really hard for me is talking to coach after losses. Like I don't want to bring up any bad stuff, and that's tough. But no, man, it's awesome. It's the best. I can't believe they let me do it. Honestly, I'm an idiot. I have no idea why they let me do it, but hopefully I can do it for a long time.
And Scott, go ahead.
I was going to say, I love the fact that Pat's in that chair. My first reaction was, yes, he's there. And then my second one was, God, I hope he's careful.
We even had a conversation before we got on TV. Like, this is live. Well, thank you, Pat, for coming down.
Thanks,
We
Chelsie.
appreciate
Thanks,
it. Scott, thank you as always.
Yeah.
We will be right back. All right, we have some new faces joining me at the desk. We have two members from the Iowa Heartlanders right here. We have defenseman Thomas Stewart, and then right down there we have David Fine, who is their communications director, play-by-play guy. You kind of do it all, right?
Allegedly, yes. It takes a lot as people in the industry know.
Yeah. Well, hockey season is officially underway. The Heartlanders 3-4-1 so far on the season. But there's a lot of change. Obviously, new faces, a new head coach and everything. How is your transition? Because this is your first season with the Heartlanders. How has that been for you?
It's gone pretty smoothly.
Yeah.
Chuck's been a great guy, and he's all the guys are super welcoming. So far it's been pretty smooth, and we keep planning on getting better.
Yeah. And David, for you, new coach, what's that mean for you?
Chuck's great. Down at Extreme Arena in Coralville, Chuck Weber, our new head coach, he had a pretty big seat to fill with Derek Damon having been here pretty much since day one as the head coach. So now in year 5, it's exciting to have a new face. And Chelsie, I know you've talked with Chuck before. He's a great, great person. He's a championship winner at 3 different leagues and 2 times in the ECHL and AA hockey, and here he is in Coralville after coming back from NCAA hockey back into the pros, and he's having a great time doing it.
Yeah. How would you describe Coach Weber's kind of mannerisms as far as some of your coaches that you've had, growing up? Is he that intense guy? Is he that laid back guy? What is he like?
He's somewhat relaxed, but he's not willing to be pushed around, if you know what I mean. Like he definitely has a line.
Mm-hmm.
So we do have to perform every night. His vocabulary is pretty crazy. It's very intelligent. And so it's something I'm not actually used to with hockey coaches. I mean, they're smart, but Chuck's vocabulary is pretty impressive, actually.
Is it like to the point where you have to ask him, what do you mean? Or is it?
No.
Okay.
No,
that's good.
but it's still pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Obviously, this is a new team. You're figuring out each other and everything. But what do you think so far you guys are doing well as far as a team?
I think we're taking steps in the right direction.
Yeah.
We started off the season pretty well, and then we took a step back last weekend.
Okay.
But we're just kind of learning from our mistakes. I think our practices have been pretty intense, which is really good.
Yeah.
Iron sharpens iron, as Chuck likes to say. And if we bring that intensity to games, as we try to do all the time, it's just going to continue to go in the right direction.
Yeah. Well, they say the season is a marathon, so no need to, press a panic button or anything.
We were joking when you were talking with Pat and Scott about getting juiced up, because we're like, man, we got 3 games in 3 days in 2 cities this weekend. And it's like those Sunday afternoon games. You got to. I have a lot of respect for Thomas and the players, because I just have to sit there and watch, and as Pat knows as well, try not to get fired by anything that I say on the air. But with Thomas, it's 3 days, 3 games, travel. Like this weekend, we're going to Cincinnati and Toledo and getting in late to Toledo, and then you're playing a Sunday game. And I just have to worry about talking for 2.5 hours. You're doing 3 games in like 52 hours or whatever it is. So I have a lot of respect for what guys like this do, putting their bodies on the line and performing, and not being in city council on the 3rd game of a 3-3. So.
Well, and these are bus rides.
Yeah.
Long bus rides.
Yeah, very long.
How are those bus rides? Because, I mean, you get to know people pretty well, right?
Yeah, the guys are pretty good with, talking to each other. We play card games and have a little fun. But you just try and get your sleep when you can get your sleep.
Yeah,
because honestly, sometimes, you're sitting on a bus for 6 hours. You can only do so much doom scrolling before you start to lose brain cells. And but usually, like, I'm kind of used to this now with my past and in the OHL, and then last year in Bloomington, the rest of it, not really having sleeper buses, and like it's actually a huge upgrade to have a sleeper bus where you actually have a bed and can sleep and get quality sleep, and you don't wake up with your neck, in 4 different places.
And your back on the other side of the row.
The back on the other side of the row, hips out of alignment by 3 inches. But
David, having been around this program, I know it's still early in the season, but what is some of the pieces that you think that this team has that kind of elevates their play so far this season?
Yeah, I think offensively it's very exciting.
Yeah.
And the system that had been put in place last year, which led to tremendous success for the Heartlanders, was very defensively first.
Right.
There are a lot of fights, which I'm not saying there won't be this year, but the gritty physicality and I would say like more like control. It was almost kind of like the Iowa football of offense in a way, where it's like not going too much outside the scope. And playing within yourself, keeping it close. And Heartlanders, it's 17 one-goal wins. That's like almost a quarter of the season. They won by exactly one goal, not even with empty net goals, just by one goal. And so this year, it's very much more free-flowing offensively.
Yeah.
And I think that once the team captures that full system, it's still so early and guys are still getting accustomed, I think it's really going to be a beautiful thing to watch. And there's been some high scoring games, but I'm looking forward to some more 5-1 wins like we've had once or twice this year too. So this year is much more offensively free-flowing, and they have the talent to do it offensively too. Thomas, the cliche about hockey guys is they don't like to talk about themselves. They like to talk about their teammates a lot more than themselves. So like guys like Jackson Nelson, who's leading the league in points last week, at least as the start of last week, and Isaac Johnson and Kelty, Jerry Leon, and some of these guys are like top 5 in the league in points all at once. So it's been exciting to see the offense emerge.
Yeah. All right, we're going to talk more hockey when we come back. All right, welcome back in. We are talking hockey with members of the Iowa Heartlanders. You mentioned your schedule on the road against Cincinnati Friday, Saturday. Then you play Toledo Sunday. Then you got a home and home against Bloomington. Happens to be your former team, though. Are you excited about that one?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, very much so. I still got buddies on that team, but
Okay.
there's no buddies on the ice. Yeah.
That's true. That's
Yeah.
very true. And I wanted to ask you, too, for people that don't know, you're from Canada, but you went straight to playing professional hockey. Explain why.
Well, let's see.
The short version.
The short version. I wasn't really sure what I wanted to do after my major junior career, and the options were Canadian hockey or Canadian university hockey, or trying my luck in pro. So I kind of bet on myself a little bit and tried my luck in pro and didn't really turn back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you enjoying this level now?
Yeah. You know, initially I was kind of worried about the jump because, you know, you go from being the oldest in the league to playing against 30-year-old men and being one of the youngest guys in the league. So I was a little worried about, some of the physicality and the speed and the rest of it. And the first, 5 games last year were maybe a touch difficult, but then after that, you learn to make plays quicker, your head's up more, everything works out pretty well after that, and you feel pretty good.
Start slowing down, right?
Yeah,
the game does? Yeah,
it
absolutely.
takes a second, but it happens.
Yeah. David, what do you guys have coming up wise? Because I know that home and home series, you guys are finally home. Any special
Yeah.
things happening?
There's always things happening. You know that. We have our Stick It to Cancer Night specialty jerseys coming up on November 15th. So that's a couple Saturdays from now. Plenty of time to start thinking about that. And then coming up after that, we have it's scheduled right around that Iowa home weekend, a Friday, Sunday. So we have Dash's Derby, kind of like a racing night on the Friday.
Gotcha.
Then it pretty much takes us into December, where we have like the school day game with the kids, which is awesome.
Yes.
2,000, 3,000 screaming kids at Extreme Arena early December, and then teddy bear toss leading up to the holidays with all the bears going for a good cause to kids in need. So I love that one. I always love figuring out who's going to score that teddy bear toss goal, because you're kind of like, it's like you get that first pro goal, it's cool, like, okay, it's first pro goal. There's only one guy a year that can score the goal that makes the teddy bears fly. So that's about a month from now, but it's been someone different every year in Heartlanders history, and it's never been Yuki Mura, the Heartlanders leader all these years. So maybe this is his year, or maybe it'll be Thomas Stewart, who I mentioned first pro goals, made me very upset in the press box about a year ago because he scored in overtime against the Heartlanders in Bloomington for his first pro goal. And at the time I was like, we allowed a guy to score his first pro goal in overtime, and everyone was tired, but it was this guy, and here he is sitting here a year later. So
Isn't that funny how it works out?
it always works out. Hockey's such a small world anyway, and as you know, Chelsie, you personally having covered hockey for many years too, the guys are always the best to talk to, and there's always a laugh and a joke at the end of the day kind of thing.
You bet. Looking forward to seeing you guys this season. I have not seen you guys in person, but I'm looking for it. That'll do it for us here. We'll see you next week.